From prison cell to the forefront of tech-driven social impact, today's guest is redefining what second chances look like in America. Andre Peart is the founder and CEO of Untapped Solutions, an AI-powered platform connecting thousands of returning citizens, veterans, and underserved communities with jobs, housing, and critical support services. After experiencing firsthand the barriers to reentry, Andre turned his frustration into fuel, launching a company that now operates all across the country and has served well over 70,000 users. Backed by major players like Google, the Dream Org, and the Robin Hood Foundation, his work is being recognized nationwide, including by the National Urban League, the 2024 Whitney M. Young Jr. Leadership Conference, and more. In this episode, we unpack Andre's journey from incarceration to innovation, how he has built a mission-first tech company from scratch, and what it really takes to change systems built to shut us out. Welcome to Prison Bosses. Let's get into it. Andre, how you doing, brother?
I'm feeling good, my man. I'm happy to be here.
Same here, bro. I'm excited. I know today is going to be one of them shows where individuals are going to walk away motivated, inspired, and just really, asking themselves, I want to do the same thing. And
Mhm.
so to kick it off, bro, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, your upbringing, tell us a little bit about Andre.
Definitely, man. So Andre Peart, founder, CEO of Untapped Solutions. But before all that, man, I grew up in Yonkers, man. I grew up a little bit in the Bronx, but you'll hear me speak more about Yonkers because that's just where I got in trouble at, right? Like that's
Yeah,
where all
yeah.
the things that I can remember happened. So grew up in the Bronx, always want to shout the Bronx out, but then I transitioned to Yonkers, and that's where I grew up at, grew up in the hood, grew up with my mom, grew up with my stepfather. I had like one of those good households. I always like to point this point out, Trent. Like I had a good household,
Hmm.
everything was great. When I say I lived in the hood, I didn't have to live in a direct project, but we lived in the hood, like whatever mom could
Yep,
afford. She
yep.
came from Jamaica. She migrated here, and things was good, man. I was chilling. And the things that I know now as a black man started to take play in my life at like 14. No
Hmm.
father, stepfather, rocking with him, but he's not my dad.
Yeah.
Started searching, right? And you know what the hood got to offer, so I started chilling, man. 15, I was by 15, I was full fledged gang involved, man. So like
Mm.
I always started out, good life, good childhood, no drugs in the home, no abuse in the home. And I point this out because a lot of people think, oh, there was a lot of stuff going on in those black kids' homes. And
Hmm.
that's not always the case. So, my
Facts.
upbringing was real happy. I decided as a young black man that I'm gonna go outside and chill with these dudes because they look like
Hmm.
me. Maybe
Hmm.
I can find brotherhood,
That's
um,
right.
that kind of stuff. And full fledged, man. When I say full fledged from 15, I was in it, man. I was in and out of jail from 15 all the way up to like just 23 years old, man. I was able
Wow.
got kicked out of high school. That's when I call like my first felony offense was in high school. Um,
Mm.
crazy stuff. Just walking to school with my cousin and my friend, and my cousin stabbed the dude in the neck, and
Oof.
I was just with him. So
Mm.
that goes. It went from that to be a gang assault.
Yep.
Year long trial. Mom, bailed out, ridiculed my mom's savings account, everything she'd been saving
Hmm.
in America. And that didn't tear me apart like it did, when I was a younger dude. It tore me up to know she was now broke, but it didn't hit
Yep.
like it should have hit, right? But like that was 17. That was my first run in with like my first 45, 60 days sitting in the jail.
Mm.
I'm gonna be straight up like this. After that, I feared no jail.
Mm.
Like feared no
Mm.
jail after that. So I saw what it was, and I said, "Dang, this is also part of the journey that I'm going full fledged in. So this is part of it.
Yep.
It's it's all good. Like I'm in it." And I was in
Yep.
and out of jail every year, man. There was not a year I didn't go to jail at least two times.
Mm.
Stop and frisk era. I was like early 20s,
Mm.
early teens. So all the things that I didn't even know about that I know about now, right? All part of that era. So my upbringing was good, man. It was good until I made it bad.
Mm.
Jail and drugs and women. And I truly was never addicted to anything other than the lifestyle. No drugs,
Mm.
drugs, alcohol was my thing when my mom passed away. She eventually passed away. That became my thing. But for me, man, it was just I love the lifestyle, man. Like I
Yep.
loved it so much, and that was really my upbringing for me, man. Until I
Yep.
landed in prison, until I got that real stint that set me up for about 7 years.
Mm.
No more like, oh, you can't bail out, no trial, you're not gonna beat
Yep.
this.
Yep.
It was real, man. End up living that life. I shot somebody at a gas station, and I was sent to prison for 7
Mm.
years. And for
Mm.
first offense that stuck and all. and that's my upbringing, man. That's the
Mm,
initial
that's
part.
That's powerful, bro. And let me start off by saying shout out to YO. I'm a Bronx kid, so I grew up in Tracy Towers, so neighbors YO BX. Definitely, I get it. Like anybody who doesn't understand what it was like, you're probably around my age, so I'm assuming you grew up around in the '80s, um, early '90s, '80s, late. You know what I mean? So that was a tough era coming up, the crack era, New York City area. Really easy to get in trouble. And so I get it. My question to you is because I love how you framed it. Oftentimes they always assume we just come from these terrible households.
Yeah,
You,
yeah,
eh, you know what I mean? And so I love that you said, "No, it wasn't even that. I made the decision." And I think that's critical that our listeners hear that because everything we usually talk about is the I. You're gonna put yourself in a situation. You're gonna take yourself as far as you go. And so
yeah.
I just appreciate you framing it like that. Uh, so now you end up at 23. That's when you catch the 7 years after you end up shooting somebody.
Yeah, it was quiet. 23 years old.
23 years old, so still a baby. Uh, One question: the victim of that situation, have you ever heard from them again?
Not directly, right?
Hmm.
Like not directly or anything like that. But the crazy thing is, everybody knows what I do now for work, right? I know
Hmm.
we're gonna get to that part
Hmm.
of the story. Like, so to not, go into that too much. I do things around the country.
Yep.
So I don't gotta hear from people directly, but I know that I have served that individual in a way.
Mm.
Maybe
Mm.
I've served them in some kind of way,
Yeah.
whether it was directly, not directly. But I know personally I've served them already.
That's powerful. That's powerful. I just was wondering that. So that's beautiful to hear. So now tell us a little bit about the 23-year-old you. You're no longer scared to go to any jail. You've been in jail in and out for years now. You enter into the prison. You're facing this 7 years. What's your mindset coming in? And then do you eventually have a shift? And what brings about that shift?
Yeah, for me, man, my mindset going in, it just was too deep still, right? Like I lived
Mm,
it too deep. So 23 from 15, right? I'm already 8 years in the game. And when I say deep, like I really like looked up to like I was born in 1990, right?
mm,
So I came
okay.
like right in that my early days was probably like the early 2000s. But I
Gotcha.
see,
Okay.
everything that early 2000s for me, the era that I was involved in that was really bad was that drill era, right? Like that
Mm,
came out. Little Dirk just came out, and we know what
yep.
happened around the country. Like when that kind of music came out, the violence increased
Facts.
dramatically
Yep.
everywhere.
Yep.
And that was my era, 17 years old.
Mm,
So how deep I was in it. Like by 23, going to prison, it was only just 7 years to me.
right.
It was
Mm,
like it was 7 years, and I was just gonna be better. I already knew like what I've done,
yep.
the drugs, everything I've done. I was like, and I know that what I've gotten caught for, and it
Mm,
was like 7 years. I was like, it's nothing. I'm just gonna do the 7 years, um,
yep.
and I went into prison, and I want to say like as I was in the county, like they put you in the county to your wait and transition whenever upstate is ready for you. I went to
Hmm.
upstate. And I want to say, I guess the loan time now, while you're in like intake, right before you really send you to your spot,
Yep.
that is what started to like. I want to say God started speaking to me. I'm so much more woke now, but I started thinking like, dang, this is looking at the paper, calculating the numbers. I was looking at the numbers. It was like crazy amount of days, and I was like,
Yep.
yo,
Yep.
wildin'. I said, wildin'. And I was thinking like, yo,
Mm,
all this for people that ain't even about to hold it down, because I did.
mm.
I was like, yo, this is crazy. Um,
Facts.
but it
Facts.
shifted my mindset a little bit to like, all right, come home and do it yourself. Drugs, like you don't got to do the gangbanging stuff. We just drugs. We did a lot off that. Let's just do this. So I went through
Yep.
that. And like I was like, all right, forget the hood stuff, like the banging part of it. I'm not blooded crip, but forget this block banging. I'm good on it.
Hmm.
So by the time I did reach state prison, at least that part was like, I'm good on it unless I have to. I got to see what
Yep.
happens when we get here. I landed
Yep.
in state prison, man, and I can tell you today, God shielded me from you know from the moment I walked in there. I walked in,
Mm,
met people, the regular shit you hear about, where you from, all this kind of stuff. I was from the 914, Westchester County. They linked me with
hmm.
those dudes,
Yep. Yep.
all that kind of stuff. And I can see like now the old me, I was always a leader anyway. I didn't.
Yes,
I was like,
sir.
yeah, nice to meet y'all. It's great. What y'all getting into? Chilling in the group outside in the yard. I'll get with y'all, but I told myself I was gonna get my weight up, so I'm
Mm,
going to the gym. And the gym was my life every day. And then but
Talk
I knew
about it.
I got, I'm 23, I'm young, but I also knew that things can get crazy. So I got to also
Facts.
make sure that I also am chilling with my dudes from the 914 at any
Mm-hmm.
time. Majority, the jails are ran by Bloods in New York. A majority of these
Right.
914 dudes are Blood. But I don't want no involvements to that. So that's why I said like that
Mm-hmm.
part done.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 3 years into it, into the bid, I realized that 2 years into it, I realized time wasn't moving as fast as I thought, and I
Mm.
was like, shit, like I still got some time left. It's not moving as fast as I thought. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I really want anything to do with this life.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
as I said, there got to be something probably better that I can actually just do versus like the drugs, the gang. But one thing that I kept getting sold on, like scared to getting sold on, was like I do not want to go back to the hood though, because I was,
Facts.
that lone time showed me how toxic it was. Like
Mm-hmm.
I saw me standing on a corner from the outside. I said, "Dang, that looked like some bum shit." Just standing
Mm.
up. It don't matter how
Mm.
much I was making. Like it saw me in the crib bagging up the pounds, and I said, "Dang!" And then I just given it to my man, the people I call my friends, and I thought it was the way you be a friend. Like, here's this pack, go to the corner, and if it's
Mm-hmm.
jail, don't hang with your kids. I said, that's not the brotherhood I want. I
Talk
was
about it.
able to remember the me before 15 years old.
Mm.
Right? I was like, dang,
Mm.
I like, yo, I'm real with it. I told myself, yo, I'm not even like that. Like the
Right.
dude you here to do that, you're not even like that. I was like,
Yep.
dude's saying that, but actually, none of us is, because you weren't
Mm.
born gangbanger.
Facts.
Yo,
Facts.
none of
Yep.
us is. Like
Yep.
I done did all the crazy shit, so I was never in my mind one of them dudes who had to be like, dang, I'm not gonna say that because I don't want dudes to hear me. Like I started, telling dudes, I was like, yo, I ain't like that, bro. I'm not doing all this shit no more. Even in the jail, and dudes started to see the shift in my mindset. I
Yes,
started
sir.
writing. I was just like, yo, I'm not doing all this shit. But I say God walked with me because listen, man, I had 7:30 phone time, and that's the time that I needed to speak to my daughter's mom and my daughter. But I did nothing that the person walking in had to do for these things, and
Mm.
I can't tell you why today. I
Mm.
can't like why I had not one argument in my bed, not one fight, um,
Yep. Yep.
not even a close to an argument.
Same
Like
here.
I
Same here, bro.
can't tell you any of those things, and I can tell you that I did not sit in my cell all day. Like
Right.
I
It was
TV,
outside. Right. Right.
I moved around, and it was like
Mm-hmm.
I nailed it. About 25, listen. I grew up with a mom, and my mom was a minister. At 25, I
Mm.
gave myself to God in prison. I was in Bear
Mm.
Hill Correctional Facility. I got saved in prison, and I just started walking with, I wouldn't say I didn't go too hard chilling with the Bible holders. Like they're cool, but
Right.
like I already had
Right.
my crew in the dorm who I knew was in a joint. Like that's who I built with. So it shifted.
Yep.
Like 914, we here. I'm with you, but I'm with these brothers now.
That's
Um,
right.
and that's it, man. And I got a letter. Yeah, you got early release.
Mm.
got
Mm.
work release. I was like, the work release with a violent crime. Like
Right.
it's
Yo, that's crazy. I was gonna say that. That's crazy, bro. Look at God. Won't he do it?
with a violent crime.
Mm.
Like, look at that. And also, like, the part of my case is that, New York City victim doesn't show or any of those things. Like, I don't know how they do it. But in Yonkers, if the victim don't show 3 times, that charge gets dropped. There's no
Mm.
camera. So, they always do what they want. I should have got 3.5 for just a gun first time offense, but they know it was used and that time was
Yep.
doubled, right? Like it was
Gotcha.
in like doubled. But Albany had to process it as just a gun charge still.
Mm.
Just a gun charge on this dude's record. Um, and that's the only thing on his record. And I think
Right.
that's why I got it. Like, so I ended up
Yep.
going there. Long story short, man, I messed that bag up, man, because you got to remember, I got saved in jail, where it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to be saved. It's easy to walk with the Lord. It's easy to hear Him.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
And I got out, and it was quiet. like,
Mm. Mm.
I'm not gonna lie, it was quiet. It was quiet. Yeah, I got out, and it was quiet for that, man. Like, not the drugs, none of the old life, but
Of course not.
it was more like I wasn't really talking with God no more. I done forgot what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah.
my commitment to him was I ain't gonna go back to the hood, but I ain't gonna talk to you like that too much either.
Mm.
I ain't
Yep.
gonna go back.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, yeah, man.
Can I just say something, bro? Because I think that's powerful. You saying that. One thing that really jumped out to me in you saying that is I find that for everyone who's listening, one, it's important that to me, I believe it's important you have a relationship with your higher power.
Yeah,
But like you said, I find that we often as humans, we neglect to talk to our higher power when things are going great. When things are going good, it's when things are going bad is when we want to talk to our higher power all the time, asking for things and helping, asking for help. And so for our listeners, I just want to encourage us, like Andre said, it's a little easier right now when we locked in just because of the circumstance. It's not easier on your mental. It's not easy on you not being able to see your family. It's not easy on those things, but it's easy because you don't have the noise of the world. You don't have some of the responsibilities of being out here. What it gets hard is when you get out and they let you out and all of the noise of the world is here. And I just want to encourage you, don't stop talking to your higher power when you get out. Don't stop talking to your higher power when you start winning. In fact, that's when you should be talking to your higher power even more. Because to me, I believe all of this happens because of the relationship with our higher power. I don't think it's no coincidence that you end
Yep.
up getting work release with that violent felony. That happened because of your higher power. And so question for you: when you were locked up, did you take any college courses or anything like that? Like, what were you doing for self-improvement?
So one, I already had the GED when I got in there, and I didn't want none of the hands-on training, so I was working in that computer lab, right, doing code,
Mm.
Excel things. But I learned quickly, like this is not too much. This is just Excel spreadsheets,
Yep.
Microsoft Word, and I was like, yo, I don't even really remember jobs, asking me to know this kind of stuff. But I said, I
Mm-hmm.
just like technology, so let me do this. What I did the college courses, but as you know, it's a long wait line,
Yep. Yep.
stuff. And by the time I got enrolled, they sent me to work release. Um,
Mm.
sent me to work release. So I never like completed any college courses in the jail, but I was able to do like one course, which was I was doing writing at that time. That's where I was really interested in doing. So I was
Gotcha.
doing the
Gotcha.
journalism.
Journalism things. So now
Yeah,
questions. So you get out on work release, and how do you go from work release where you have to work for somebody to the
yeah,
point where you're starting to work for yourself?
got you. So before we can get to that story, so on work release, I made it a year. Right, I was working at
Mm.
the gym. I was the janitor. Like that's the job
Yep.
that I was able to get,
Yep.
but
Same
it was
here, bro. Same
yeah,
here.
was cleaning,
Yep.
you know, and I was that's why I said like I was humble with it. And then I started working at a shelter because I was like, I want to get back, I want to be like a caseworker, and I started doing that stuff. I started being a caseworker at the shelter, and that was also allowed me to get more freedom because you can work up to like 16 hours. So I was like doing the morning job, staying out, bouncing
Yep.
to 126th Street, doing the shelter job. I did that for 11 months, and you know what
Mm.
happened? I got all on my work release. Um,
Yep.
they was taking the paychecks. I was getting the K2 from 125th Street, where it was crazy,
Mm-hmm.
bringing it back into the jail.
Mm.
Day that they was doing strip searches because somebody did some crazy stuff, and I walked into the strip search, and I was so comfortable with just tucking it like a little bit and walking in that I just had it. I was like, "Yo, they gonna let me walk in. They know I'm the good one, and I'm 38 days from my conditional release. Um,
Damn.
and that's
Damn.
they locked me back up. I went right back up north on the max out. First,
Damn.
went right back up north max, and they maxed me out.
Shit.
Yeah,
So now you back in jail, you kicking yourself in the ass, I'm assuming, like, yo, what the fuck?
yo, I was sick. I
Mm.
was I
Mm.
was disappointed in myself.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah, I was sick, but I
Was
also
that the did that become the real catalyst for change? Like that time, like, yo, I was just out, I see what was moving. Now I gotta max out, like I'm not coming back in this motherfucker ever again type shit.
yeah, that was the big like no. When I do get out, I'm not even playing with this. Like
Mm-hmm.
this, like and I didn't plan to. It was just that the work lease took all your money and they gave you $50 to like every week.
Right.
Like
Right.
all right, just get the K2 because these dudes in here is still fiending for it from up
Yep.
north.
Yep.
I can just bring it back like the weed. I was like, all right, cool. Let me do this. Um, worst stupid ass decision, but it also showed me like the K2 shit. You fucking up people's like it was back to fucking people.
Mm.
Like so, I was like, yo, I'm wilding. Um,
Yep. Yep.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm a hard on myself. At that time, I said, yo, I deserve this. I literally said
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
do it. Yo, they wilding. It was my first ticket, and I know
Yep.
they sent me to green. I was
That's how
27.
it was.
Like, and
Yep.
then when they put me in front of the people, bro, who was gonna review me, like, I got nothing against white people, but I saw what was gonna happen there. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
didn't ask me out for my first ever ticket, but they said,
Mm-hmm.
you can join a program to like get the time back, and the wait list is forever. I just did a whole, I just did another year. I did another year. Um, and went home.
Gotcha. So now you're home. You're
Now,
maxed out, so you don't owe nobody no time, right? So you a free man, free man.
nah, not a free man, free man. They maxed me out and still gave. I still had my parole time. So
Damn. So you still on parole. All right. So you got to have a job when you get out.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Did you go back to being a janitor?
for 100%.
Mm. And so talk to us a little bit about the growth from the janitor to then positioning yourself to start to become a business leader.
Definitely, definitely. So I went back to the gym, but this time I was doing yeah, janitor. I was doing a little bit of front desk, and I was like, yo, I want to be a trainer. I started realizing that all the trainers had records,
Mm.
past mistakes, and I was like, yo, no matter. And I left that gym, went to Equinox, became a trainer. They
Yep.
background checked me. Uh, I was in public assistance for the first ever time when I got the phone call, like, yo, Andre, uh, we're gonna take you. We'll give you a shot. Like Equinox said, we give you
Mm.
a shot. Like we spoke to you about your record, and we like listen. We feel like we want to give you a shot. That's it. Yo,
That's
I
what's up.
cried in
That's
public
what's
assistance.
up.
I was like, yo, and at that point, I was like, no, I'm living life good. Like
Mm.
I'm not really talking with God, but I'm gonna live
Mm.
life good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing this time with any kind of crime. I'm not living it. Uh, so I went and created ambition. I became #1 trainer in like 3 months in Equinox. Where the VP wrote me and gave me like a letter because
Mm.
he knew what letter can do for my career. But I was doing 140 sessions and I was making
Damn.
not the most money I've ever saw, but I mean $6,000 every 2 weeks. I didn't know that was possible.
Legally.
Right,
Legally.
like
Yeah.
legally,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
like me at all
Yep.
because I remember
Yep.
just doing front desk and it was $1,000 every 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
after taxes. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, and that was life changing for me. I was like, yo, $1,000 of taxes and never like, okay, I can
Yep.
work I got to work my way up. I got to figure out
Yep.
how I can keep getting this more and more. And personal training was it because it was as much as you're willing to work and find the clients, you can make your.
Mm.
It wasn't a,
Mm.
oh, if I work 8 hours, it's the same pay. I can stay in the gym 15 hours if I really want to.
That's
Parole's
right.
not going to nothing. I'm at
That's
work. People
right.
call me, and I did that. I stayed at the gym 15 hours a day. This is no lie. This is on my LinkedIn profile, the letter, all the stuff. And I just did that, and I became #1 trainer. Um, and I had a yo. It's like my life was not. I had a knock at the door 8 months into being the #1 trainer, living in the Bronx. After getting out of homeless shelter, they placed me in the
Mm.
Bronx in a homeless shelter for a year while living as a trainer, doing all this. They eventually
Damn.
got me out into an apartment in the Bronx. It was cool. My first ever spot now after prison. And I made
Mm-hmm.
it great. I didn't care. I was in Little Italy.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I was cool. I was back by myself. Had a little girlfriend at the time, and all that kind of stuff. But I had a knock at the door while chilling with my daughter, and it was the NYPD, and they locked me up. Um, and they were locking me up. This is something that I posted about a year ago on LinkedIn, and it really reached a lot of people. But they locked me up and said they were looking for me about something that I did in 2015. And in my head, I said I was in state prison. Dang, what did I do in
Mm. Mm.
2015? They locked me up. I went to court the next day, and they said it was for assaulting a woman and nearly throwing her out the window in 2015. I raised my hands. I just screamed out, I said, Your Honor, I was in state prison. I don't know what they're talking about. And then they gave me
Yep.
a parole hold too. I called parole once I got this. I said, bro, I'm telling you straight up, I don't know what they're talking about. The lady
Right.
said, I sort of believe you because it's saying 2015, but you was in state prison. Andre, we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
figure it out. But I know they weren't gonna figure it out, and I was sitting in Rikers Island now.
Mm.
They came to me. The social security numbers did not match. I kept telling them this is not me, and they were looking for Andre Christopher Peart. I'm Andre Damien Peart.
Ah. Damn.
So I lost my job at Equinox as a #1 trainer. Came home 18 days later, filed a lawsuit immediately,
Mm.
and Equinox still couldn't give me the job back because I had to get the proven documentation that this was a. And I was like, I ain't got time to do all that. I need a job
Right.
now. Uh,
Right.
Took that letter from the VP and walked to the other gym up the block and said, "Yo, this is what I did. I was the #1 trainer within 3 months. They hired me on the spot." Um,
Mm. Mm.
um, the guy who hired me, I don't want to put his name out there and all that stuff, but he was like, "Yo, I did about 11 years in prison. Don't worry about it. Um, don't worry about the background check. This letter means a lot. Can you do this here?" I said, "I can do better. I do
Mm.
better."
Mm.
#1 trainer, not the location now. I was #1 trainer company wide.
Let's
Uh,
go. Let's go.
180 personal training sessions, all that kind of stuff. Um, end up putting in the lawsuit, and all that kind of stuff. And literally, this was years ago. We're just reaching settlement. We're just reaching settlement in 2025 for that. That was like in 2020, 2019. That was like 2019, right before
Wow.
like yeah, like
COVID.
20, yeah, right, yeah, in that little midst of that
Hmm.
era. Um, and that we're just getting settled on that, man. But like I said, that life was meant to happen in all these different ways for me.
I
Um,
agree. I
you know,
agree.
happen in all these different ways. Maybe not the direct thing, but the outcome is the outcome, right? Of all it.
Correct.
As I
And
started, yeah,
and bro, can I just say one thing? I just want to chime in for the listeners because you said a lot in that little state in that little part, but I want them to catch the jewels because you dropped a lot. One of the jewels that immediately jumped out to me, Brandon. You were able to brand yourself in every capacity. As a trainer, you branded yourself as the number one brand trainer, and then you were able to take that brand, even when things didn't work out, and bring it somewhere else and use it as a leverage tool to
yep,
actually create a new opportunity for yourself. And
yep,
so I'm hopeful that the listeners understand that this is what personal branding does for you. It allows you to pivot when you have to pivot and you can take your brand anywhere. So it's
exactly.
essential that you keep your brand clean. You need a clean, strong, trustworthy brand, and that allows you to open up other doors. Another thing Andre said that was powerful, humble. This brother had to humble himself, man. He was outside at a young age getting to it. He came home like myself and humbled himself and became a janitor. He humbled himself. He had to stay in a shelter. You know, these are all moments when someone has to decide, am I willing to do this or do I need my ego? Do I need to feed my ego and say, fuck this, I'm going to do it my way? He
Yep,
played the game the right way. And because he played the right way, just like he said, everything that happened was supposed to happen and it's all working out for him. There's no skipping the line, y'all. And then the other thing I want to say is there's always, I mean, small wins turn into big wins. This brother was able to continually stack wins. They were little wins at first, but then the little wins started to continue to build up. And eventually the small wins equate to big wins. So it's a mindset shift. I could guarantee you, Andre doesn't look at himself as a victim in any situation. He expects to be the victor, he expects to win at everything he does. But
100%.
I also can assure you there was a time he probably didn't think like that. And so it's all about your mindset. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, but I just wanted to make sure they caught those Jews, bro. The floor is
Nah,
back to you.
that's the whole thing. The whole thing. You stop me anytime, brother. I want to make sure everybody gets what they need to get from this too, as well. Um, but yeah,
Hmm.
man. After that, doing the number one trainer thing. Getting to the main point of this is, I realized that that wasn't enough. Um, and
Mm,
at this time, when I am the trainer, while I was in the shelter, I initially like was laying in the bed in the shelter, and I had got that this is not going to be enough feeling. Like I already visioned.
mm,
I saw me being able to work hard. I saw me getting a job. Um, and I guess I started waking up to like, yo, I initially came home and said, I just want to get, I just wanted a regular paying job. I just wanted a
yep,
woman, right?
yep,
I just wanted to have kids, and I was gonna be okay because life was so hard before.
yep.
I'll be okay with just that. But I started realizing like that's not really what I want though. Not even.
Mm.
This caseworker stuff that I was doing was really crazy. Like I wasn't able to serve people the way I wanted to serve them. And I said, like, yo, my journey was ridiculous. And I said, I looked up at the people in the shelter while they were sleeping. I said, dang, look at these men. Life is fucking hard. Like, yo, for all of
Mm,
us. I said, yo, we really out here struggling. This system. I said, like, I see it. I said, yo, I'm really waking up. I said, yo, I see the system is broken. All the terminologies I would hear growing up, the system
yep,
is broken. It was built to do that. I said, yo, I see it. I
yep.
said, God, yo, and I had that vision for ConConnect, and all that kind of stuff. And the vision was always like blurry for ConConnect because I see the true vision was really meant to be Untapped Solutions. Um,
Mm.
ConConnect would it would birth that through like the research and all that kind of stuff.
Can you
So
tell the listeners what ConConnect is so they understand?
yeah, yeah. So like ConConnect was that idea that I got while in the shelter. Like I got an idea that hey, I can build a job board, a place where people like me, formerly incarcerated individuals, we can go get jobs, we can get services, all the stuff they're gonna keep telling us to do when we get home. Like how do I get it in one place and stay organized? Can I speak to my PO through this? Can I speak to my therapist, the reentry, or do you need me like Tuesday here, Wednesday here? Because then it just starts to
Mm.
say, like, when do I got time for me? I just did all these years, all right? Like that's gonna
Facts.
force me to show the parole late. Maybe I don't show up at all. She ain't gonna say nothing today. Next, they have my door. It makes us get all these
Hmm.
that we don't need to get. Right, but it's because how hard it's set up for us. But just because it's set up hard, you still got to do it, right?
Talk
Because
about
not
it.
state is going to operate with technology. You still got to do it. So
Facts.
don't let me say this and say, see, son is I feel Sonny. I'm not trying. No, you got to do it, or you're going
Yep.
back to.
Yep.
Nobody don't want that, right?
Yep.
Like that was that initial idea. I'm going to build this technology. I didn't got no money to do it, but like I never felt something on my heart so much to get done and get accomplished. So
Yep.
like as I see why God drove me to make me number one trainer, it was hey, this was going to be the way. You're not going to get no money from no investors yet. Let me be your first investor. Like let
Mm.
me be your first investor, right? I realized like
Mm.
God first investor in Untapped Solutions. He said, let me make you the number one
Mm.
trainer. You don't need this money to start your own business because these investors will not give you money because you're a black man stepping out of prison. So let me give you enough to do this too as well. And that's how I
Yep.
started. It was I spoke to a lot of investors, other people with similar companies spoke to, and they told me no and told them yes. Right, like
Mm.
and I watched those people when I had my idea first raise all this money and I had to do it myself. Like I had to like take thousands per month and pay developers.
Mm.
And I want to make sure it's clear. I didn't know nothing about this. I was getting back all kinds of bullshit.
Yep.
Facebook looking apps. This don't do this. And I realized it's not just the developer. It's because I'm just telling them what I want. I don't got documentation.
Ah.
I don't got business plan. I don't got technological architecture plan. And these things sound fancy, but they're all easy. I don't got no
Talk it.
degree, right? I
Talk
got
it.
a multi-million dollar business with no degree. I got a GED level education to Society of America,
Let's
right?
go, bro.
And I
Yep.
just learned it all. I said, well, none of these things is these things are not hard. But I spent a lot of money bootstrapping my initial business.
Yep.
Again, and then, I realized this recently, but after bootstrapping, after really going at it, and people say go at it for how long? Like 3 months, 6 months before I see something. I went at it for nearly a year and a half. Applied everywhere, got told no, and then my phone rang.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, who's this? This is Techstars." I knew I had applied to them. I said, "Oh, you calling my phone?" I said, "Can you pitch to us?" I said, "I would love to pitch to you."
Mm.
I When I pitched to them, I've been doing pitches before and all that stuff, and I was getting better and better. But listen, man, that day I pitched to them, I would pitch like I've been an executive for 20 years. I even got to
Go.
see, dang, how the hell did I just do that? And not realizing I'm not really I'm talking about it a little bit more, but I'm not really there yet. So it's all me. I said, yo, that was fire. I just killed it. I know I'm gonna get
Yep.
this. And I got the call that they said, yeah, yeah, we want you in. You
Mm.
know, that was my first time I was able to realize like, yo, they want me to quit my job, move me to Atlanta. They got
Ooh.
120,000 for me.
Ooh.
And they're gonna train me to go raise the rest of the money I need. But this is enough for me to like initially leave my
Right.
job right now.
Yep.
And then I was
Mm.
done in 2022. That's like when we really first started, right? And we're in 2025, so that was in 2022, man. And from there, man, it was a really fast journey. Like from living in Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a more black friendly ecosystem. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Learn to talk the talk, walk the walk, and be a founder, right?
Mm.
About $2 million over the course of 2022. Um,
Let's go. Let's
raised about
go.
$1.2 million in venture capital fairly fast in
Yep.
that year. But through the next year, 2023, I just was still raising like capital. So I still raised like another $1 million, non-dilutive funds, not giving no equity of my company away.
Let's go. Let's go.
Travel loan
Mm-hmm.
because I'm a black founder. I'm not a white founder. It don't really and I respect that there's a difference. I understand people are like, no, there's no difference in you and I, and we're all equal. We are in some capacities, but unfortunately, I don't have the it's not about brain power. It is about
Mm-mm.
connections. Sometimes it is brain power in the sense of I didn't go to Stanford. He afford that. I may have went to community college,
Yep.
but most importantly, I said this game is about grit and how much you work in a day and how
Let's
much you
go.
can earn.
Let's
So
go.
I can outwork anybody, even if they got a higher education, because that their whole thing is you have to outwork me. So
Yes, sir.
you have to outwork what I can do in 8 to 12 hours at this computer. You have
Yep.
to now outwork me.
Yep.
Um, and I can get your brain power from Chat GPT, from Google.
Talk it. Talk
Absorb
it.
everything you know, but you have to build up the harder part, the work ethic. I already
Talk
have.
it.
Um,
Mm.
I had to tell myself that mentally, and I said, okay, I'm going to need more money because I'm going to make more mistakes than some of these individuals who their father told them mistakes. They
Yep.
was going to do the business and they already had a network. Oh, you need to speak to these six other investor entrepreneurs. I said, all right, I need a little bit more money. I'm gonna make
Yep.
some. I done made almost $1 million in mistakes already.
Mm. Mm.
That, yeah, I planned for it internally.
Mm.
Already knew it was gonna make mistakes. Knew it
Talk it.
wasn't. We weren't, I didn't say we're gonna start a business and it's gonna grow and be the best thing the fast. We still make mistakes, but we make a lot less
100%.
mistakes and we see things ahead. So,
Mm-hmm.
2023, Google came and invested in 2023. I initially had the vision, another vision. It was like change the company. Like you cannot
Mm.
be about just formerly incarcerated people and people in prison anymore. Look at everything that you went through. I
Yes,
went through
sir. Yes,
homelessness,
sir.
poverty before prison,
Yep.
living the lifestyle. And I said, dang, if I don't help everybody, they're going to lead to prison.
Talk
Um,
it.
so I said, we're all untapped. I don't even know how this all
Mm.
Untapped, and we changed the company to Untapped Solutions because we wanted to be, and we didn't want to be a job board anymore. Like, we said, we want to be a system for
Bigger. That's right.
entities,
That's right.
agencies. Forget your case management system that does nothing but give you data. This system helps. Like we do everything.
So what do you do? What does it do now? What is ConConnect turned into as Untapped? So what is Untapped
So
Solutions 2025?
So Untapped Solutions, two major things, right? So one, keeping it for the people, like all the untapped people, formerly incarcerated, people in poverty, survivors of domestic violence, like anybody who ever felt left out, right? We
Mm.
have turned into a professional life navigator, right? So you
Love
think of
that.
like LinkedIn is built for connections, right? Like we're a social network where we don't want you to go in and like a post. You're not going to see girls and guys. It's not. You're not here to get that. You're not like you got Instagram and Facebook for that. Like we're
Right.
life navigating. You tell us your issues. Our technology gets you through those issues. You
Mm.
have healthcare, you're struggling here. Just be open. Be open. Tell us your pop. Tell us where you're living at. Tell us you're poor if you're poor. Tell us you got this amount of money coming in per month. Let us organize your life for you.
I
We know
love
that
that.
move a little bit of everything in your life. It's better than that agency that just tells you to focus on a job and somehow your life will be.
Facts.
Let's
Facts.
help a little bit of
Facts.
everything. You see 5 points in credit approval. You see, we got you a better job that just pays you a couple dollars more per hour. Everything, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of everything, and then people start to say, "Dang, look at all these level. I'm leveling up completely."
Lebanon.
Versus,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
you know,
Levels.
yeah, you talk to black and brown people, and they're like, "Yeah, I leveled up here in my job, but I'm still struggling here." You need to do a little bit of everything. Stop doing a lot of just a job placement. Do a little
Talk
bit of
it.
everything, and
Talk
everything
it.
will be okay.
That's right.
Technology there. So now we became that. Our mobile app is about a month from launching too, as well,
Mm.
because
Mm.
it's a website, and now we turned it to a mobile app because we've gotten like a lot of users. On the commercial side, for agent governments, nonprofits, prisons, parole, homeless shelters, hospitals. We're a case management database, all in one CRM. So they're managing their people in it, their clients, their patients, their donors, funders. We're just smarter. We don't give you data and you come in
Mm.
and say, look at all this data where I got 100,000 clients that need this. Our system will go get the clients' jobs, go
Fire.
figure out services. It will. We make individual case plans. It can read profiles. It does all this thing to help caseworkers work smarter, not harder.
I
Um,
love that.
there's
Mm.
no way, we did data research. A caseworker would have to have 111 people. In metropolitan cities, they would each have to serve 111 people
Mm.
to actually solve any kind of crisis, from homelessness to reentry to any crisis we have, which is impossible. So,
Right.
therefore, the current practice of nonprofit practice is an impossible practice. Um,
Talk that. Talk that, brother.
you know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
technology actually is now proven the only way to solve it. There's no
Yep.
other way to solve it. Technology has to be implemented into the practice. So that's what we do on both sides. You know what I mean? Like those are the two
Fire.
we do.
Fire, bro. Yo, so guys, I hope you heard, man, the transition, the pivot from ConConnect to Untapped Solutions. How now today he actually, Andre, looked at all of the things that he's been through and said, I can't just focus on the connect aspect, people who've been criminal justice impacted. I've lived in homeless shelters. I've experienced poverty. I've seen domestic violence, and I want to help all of these individuals. So as you guys could see, sometimes, as he mentioned earlier, it was a little blurry. The vision was a little blurry, but as he kept with it, the vision got clearer and clearer and clearer until he was able to identify exactly what his calling was. His higher power made it very clear for him. And now look what he's done. Like he also mentioned, working hard. It's about work ethic, man. Will Smith once uh, said something to the effect of, he basically, there was an analogy. If it was him and somebody else on the treadmill, and whoever got off the treadmill first loses, he said he'll fuck around and die on that treadmill. And You feel me? And I feel like Andre, I feel like myself, I feel like you guys as the listeners, we have to be resilient. We have to be willing to die on that fucking treadmill, assuring that no one outworks us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know Andre's day to day, but I could almost guarantee you, like someone like him, someone like myself, we value time. We maximize our 24 hours. While you're incarcerated, the one thing it does do, it gives us a structure. We know when they're gonna count on when they're gonna call on the count, lights out, when the CO scream child. I hate the terminology child, but you know, when they say all of those sorts of things, we know the times. Before incarceration, most of us didn't have a structure. Don't lose that structure. In fact, build on that structure once you get out. You know, and so I just, brother, I am so just moved by what you've been able to do. And the fact that you're able to sit here and really talk to the people and show this is a brother who had no college education. This is a brother who got his GED. And now he's a leader in the tech space, a space that they try to keep us out of. He figured out a way to get into space and not just get in to really make impact. And I could tell you, man, he's throwing numbers out there. He's talking millions. I hope you guys don't get intimidated by that. Like, I hope you actually understand that it's possible. Just like he said, from 2020 to 2023, my companies did over 11 million. Like, you got two brothers right here talking to y'all right now who neither of us been to college. Both of us got prison records, yet we've turned out our lives and figured out ways to really become prison bosses and generate millions, change our families' trajectories, and impact others. And so, Andre, I'm going to get ready to close this up in a minute. But before I close this up, is there anything you want to leave the listeners with? Can you tell them where they might be able to find your information so you could be a resource for them when they get out through your organization? Are you on any of the platforms that are available inside of the prisons right now that they might be able to take advantage of? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So anybody once I get out, I'm Andre Peart across all social medias. So if anybody watches this and they got somebody controlling their IG, follow me because I speak this all day. Especially
Facts.
I don't do nothing else on IG but speak to this. Right on
Mhm.
TikTok, I speak to this. I posted how to pitch the other day, 17,000 likes
Let's
from
get it.
black and brown people just wanted saying, "Yo, this is great. This is so helpful." And I didn't know it was gonna do that. I thought it was gonna get about 300 likes. So like
Hmm.
social media, to follow me, but follow something that's actually influential, right? That's knowledgeable. Um,
Fuck it.
Actually, Untapped Solutions, we are releasing. Are we that mobile app that we did also has a mobile app inside version already? So
Let's
already
go.
signed. It'll be on all the tablets and all that kind of stuff. So people will be able to get on, start to do minimal things, right? But at least they can claim their profile when they get outside. I think that's the
That's
bigger
right.
aspect of it. Get out,
That's right.
get on Untapped Solutions. It's built for you. It's for life, right? It's a life navigator. You get to build community, all that kind of good stuff. I think the thing that I would want to leave people with is the one thing about working hard, right? You just like brought it on that, and I may not say this perfectly, but it's okay. Like the one thing I recently learned, right? Like when I re-gave my life back to God about a year ago, and I wake up I found this part like that. I was led to the Bible. It was a really
Mm.
crazy moment in the house. Like the window was open, the wind came through, the Bible page turned. I said, look at this crazy shit. Like I said, like shit you see on the movies. Let me go to the Bible. Let me go see what it got said. I said, if it got something here to say for me, this is just, I already believe, but I know
Mm.
sometimes I'm in
Mm.
doubt, God. And I know that's okay. I know because I know you know my
Facts.
heart. When in
Facts.
doubt, you'll take the doubt away from me. Cool. Let me see what this says. And
Yep.
again, I may mess up the scripture, but it said, when you're working for things, work at it like you're working for the Lord and
Mm.
not human hands.
Mm.
I needed that,
Mm.
right? Like
Mm.
work at it like you're working for the Lord
Yep.
and not human hands. I love the Lord,
Yep.
and I don't work for human hands, right? Like I got a mindset where I'm working for me,
Yep.
but I can't even do that because that's my will, right? Like
Mm.
that's like what
Mm.
I my business to do. And when I so this business idea came from God. Most things do that we get. Your
That's
business.
right.
This is not a business that brings people to Christ and all this kind of stuff. It's a business that serves His people. And I didn't
Yes.
realize that. And I was like, dang. So when I wake up every morning, I get in the Word, but I always pray on that. And I'm at this laptop grinding because it's no more working for like, yo, you can work hard for yourself, but when you have a higher purpose, you work
Yep.
for that higher purpose, right? Like that.
Talk about it.
So
Yep.
yo, I pray that every morning. I'm at this
Mm.
laptop. And like I've started a second business. that I think I just posted about it for the first time on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff off everything I learned in venture capital. Um, and it's like it's not going through anything Untapped Solutions had to go through.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, so everything is great. I always want to leave people with just that. Work
Yep.
at it like you're working for the Lord. But also,
Mm.
man, everything you just said is all possible because I come
Yes,
from nothing.
indeed.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
indeed.
So you don't need anybody else to tell you like, you know, you can't do it. You don't need to think like, yo, I literally from nothing, from zero
Yep.
to nothing. So that just is to show you everything is possible. You just got to get
That
it
is
done.
a fact. Got to get it done. Just got to put the work in. And
Yo,
so there you go, my friends. I hope that you take the time to really go back, check this episode out twice so you can really pick up all of the jewels that was left. There's a lot of jewels, a lot of information shared. I also hope that you walk away feeling motivated, encouraged, knowing like it's possible for you to live the life of your dreams. Where you're at today is not where you're going to end at. And to be quite honest with you, every day we are becoming who we want to be. And so your evolution is just a process, and you're just in the midst of it. I hope you take this time while you're in there to focus on yourself. I hope you take this time to build a relationship with your higher power. One thing, Andre, as he just mentioned, when you work and you believe in a higher power, you also know that nothing can stop you. It would have been easy for Andre to feel like I'm a black man entering an industry where there's very limited or few of us. They're gonna blackball me. They won't rock with me, etc. But the reality is, once God is guiding you, can't nobody stop what's playing for you. And so, just continue to build that relationship, have that faith, and I assure you that you too can one day become a prison boss. And so, Andre, I want to say thank you so much, brother, for spending some time with us, for dropping some jewels. Again, I'm proud of you, bro, of all the things that you've already accomplished, the lives that you're touching. I look forward to continuing to stay in touch, and hopefully, one day we can even do some things in partnership to expand impact. And so, thank you again, brother. I really appreciate you. And from speaking for all of the listeners, I know they're going to enjoy this episode. So, thank you, brother.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate them too, man, just for listening in and rocking with us.
Agree. I agree. All right, guys. Well, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us today. We appreciate that. And we thank you for tuning in to Prison Bosses. Until next time, hold your head.